Yo, what's going on, you guys? This is your boy Travis Dykes. Today we are going over five different techniques, hacks, whatever you want to call it, that every bass player should know when they're either playing with the band or they're just playing in general. So without further ado, let's get into it. Actually, let's roll intro. All right, now the first hack is making the E and A string home, because if we're playing the bass, we're filling in the low frequency range. Okay, this is what's keeping the band together. It's locking in with the drums, and it's like creating that great bed of like sound. Okay, now, but the thing is, if we're not careful and if we're not like have a home, then we could kind of be all out of whack, you know, and playing like in different octaves that are not necessarily what the bass player needs to be at. So like, let's take this groove for example. So let's say if I was playing this little funky groove like this. Okay, it feels good right now, but let's say I was like, you know, I'm still learning my number system, and I know there's an A here, there's a 1 here, and I could play that groove right here. Why do I need to go anywhere else? Okay, let's hear how it sounds. So yeah. So theoretically, yes, that works. I mean, it's the same notes, you know, playing the same exact way. Now, the only thing, though, is that when I played it up there, it kind of sounded kind of like tinny and kind of wimpy, and it's just like, you know, it's cool. It makes sense. But when we play with the band, we got to fill that low end. So playing on the D and G string shouldn't be home. This shouldn't be where I play most of my song. And this is a matter of opinion, but this is where, from my experience, I feel like home should be, which should be the E and the A string, because it's right there in the range that you're supposed to be in. Because most basses started to become popular and became an instrument. It was just the E and the A string that you had were the lowest strings on a bass. Now you have basses now that, like mine, is a 5 string. You know, and you have this low B string, but that's not what the bass originally, whenever you heard like, you know, other bass players that have 4 strings, they weren't playing the low B string. They were playing an E string, a low E string. And so I feel like, you know, this is the reason why I noticed is that it fits the perfect in the frequency range for the bass is to play on that E and A string. Okay. That's why I feel like everybody should know this. Because the E and the A string always sits great no matter what. It doesn't mean that we can't go to the low B, and it doesn't mean that we can't go to the D and G string. It just means we use it as moments. Because what happens if we use it too much, or if we stay and make that our home, our dynamics are shifted, and it's just like, okay, now our ears when we play this here. When we go down lower, it's like, oh, now we're thinking to ourselves, oh man, that's the lowest we're gonna go, and then you go even lower, and it's just like, whoa, now it feels almost too low, because your ear is hearing that range go way down. But like the thing is, if you keep it in the middle, then you can use the dynamic of going up an octave and down an octave and having a home right there in the middle. Because what happens is when you do that, it takes it to another level. So we got the groove. Let's take it up an octave. Let's take it back down. Let's take it down low. Back home. So you see how like the dynamic shift between all of those, it flowed. So like when we went up high, it was a moment, and then we came back home. And then we went low, it was a moment, and then we came back home. So we just have to remember, E or A string needs to always be home no matter what we're playing, so we can have full range of dynamics and being able to take our bass to the next level All right, hack number 2 is playing consistently, or playing with consistency. So one thing, part of this I want you to know is playing evenly is everything. Like, you don't ever want a note to be like, you know, like where you're like comfortable with your E and A string, but your D and G string is just like, I gotta play weird to get it. No, you want it to sound even. That's the key for every bass player. We want to sound like, we don't want it to be like, we want it to be even. You see how like I'm playing every one of those the exact same velocity. And then whenever we move up in dynamic and intensity, it gets stronger. You know, like we can strengthen every note and not just one or two. You know what I'm saying? But anyways, that is hack number 2. All right, now hack number 3 is one that's very, very important, which is dynamics. When it comes to playing bass, what we have to know is we have to know when our dynamics are too strong and when they're too soft. Because what happens is that if our dynamic is too strong, say we're coming in on a song is 6-4-1-5, I'm in the key of A, and we're just like, you know, you're playing, this is our groove, and we're there, you know, it's a slow song. If we were to come in, instead of like playing soft like that, come in strong like, yeah, I'm in there. Yeah. That would not be good. Because every time I play, I always think in kind of like text of like what would be best for the song. Every time I do a cover, every time I play somewhere, I record, I just like, what's the best thing for the song? Because what happens is that if you do something like that, it takes you out of the element of the song, and people kind of lose where they are, and you kind of just mess the song up for everybody. Okay, so that's the reason why we have to think about it, and we have to be able to listen and figure out, okay, this is a soft moment, this is a somber moment, we need to chill it out, or this is a big moment, we really need to bring it up and just like, you know, get in there, because sometimes you need to be like, you know, like just going in, but but the song has to be getting there. Most times you can feel it. You can feel it kind of going there, like, okay, all right, okay, yeah, we're going there. You know, like you can kind of feel that. So listening and like trying to find like what that spot is and where it is. This is something you can also ask if you have a MD or whatever. If you're on a gig, you have an MD, whoever's like the leader, or you can ask your drummer, because honestly, when you talk to the drummer, it really helps. Like you build the dynamic together and like it flow really well because y'all are both building together. You know, you'd be like, hey man, does that feel weird? Does it need to be softer? He might be like, yeah, I feel like it does, you know? And then like just learning how those dynamics shift. This leads into my next hack, which is making different sections of the song sound different. What I mean by that, and this is my hack number 4, is that a lot of songs nowadays, when it comes to pop, when it comes to R&B, when it comes to, you know, just about anything you play, everything has this aura of like the same progression, or maybe like one chord changes between the verse and the chorus and the bridge. What we have to do is we have to figure out like, man, how can we make this sound like more than what it is? Because that's sometimes like with worship songs like that, sometimes with the pop songs, especially pop songs, oh my goodness, like they just do the same thing over and over. So you have to find out a way of making it different, make your section sound different rather than just sound like this the whole time. You got to make it have like a dip and a little up and a little down, you know, and that goes, and this kind of goes hand in hand with dynamics. Like say your chorus is like you're built up, you know, boom, boom. And then when you go to the verse, bring it down. You see what I'm doing? So it's not driving like it was on the chorus. Now I'm just doing like whole notes, just 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2. And my dynamic kind of came down just a little bit because it's the verse and you don't want to overpower it too much. And so this is part of one of those things that like you just really just need to know, something I really wish I would have known when I was younger. Because what happens is that when you do that, everything feels like it's flowing. It doesn't just feel like it's the same thing over and over again. So something else that would help with creating that dynamic and helping with making sections sound different is playing up and down octaves. So now it's going to be like, bring it down, we're going to the bridge. It's the same thing. Building. See, now I'm doing quarters. Now let's go down. We're getting really big. You see how like doing that is almost like taking in levels, building up to something. Either you can, and my thing is that like you can go like low to high or high to low. I've done it both ways in like playing music. And so just figure out what it is for that song that's going to be the best. All right. So my last and fifth hack is speed equals control. I had somebody tell me the other day, it's like, man, you don't want to be fast. You just want to, get your harmonics. You want to do this, you want to do that. And and it's just like speed's not everything, which is true. Speed isn't everything, but speed is control. Okay. When you're able to, and this is my theory, and this is what I believe, and this is the reason why I feel like I have a lot more control than I used to, is when you start learning speed exercises, start like growing in your speed, and you go from like, so let's say this is where your speed is now. And so that means that I always think that your level of control is going to be somewhere below it, like that. So that means that my speed is this low. Let's go lower. My speed is this low, and this is where my control rate is. So if I'm playing a groove, if I'm playing like so like that's not my top speed, okay? That's just like that's my control speed. That's my like, so if I'm good there. But if I were to go faster, like I'm like struggling to keep it clean. I'm struggling to have control of it. And so what that does is like, even though that may not be my top speed, my control point is like way too low, so I can't play it clean. Say I'm here. Say this is where I want to go. This is how fast I want to be able to play. We need to try to push ourselves to go here. Is because when you push yourself to go there, then you can get this comfortably. Just like a car, some of the fastest cars in the world, like they don't drive at their top speed all the time. You know what I'm saying? Like you have like a median speed that's easy to get to, because for you to get to your top speed, you really got to push, and it's really like, oh. And an exercise I would say to help with that would be this right here, which is, I learned this from a guy named Robert Bubby Lewis. Guys haven't checked him out. Oh my gosh, he's incredible. This is the exercise that I learned from him a long time ago that really, really helped me with this. It's basically playing shout. If you don't play in church, that's okay. This is something you could play at home. You can kind of get used to it. But if you do play in church, you know exactly what I'm talking about. So you got. Oh, woo. Shout is literally the best way that I've ever taken from anybody to get my speed up. And all you're doing is just playing this walk. You start on the 1, which is A flat. You're going to play the 3, 4, 4 sharp, and 5. And then 6, flat 7, 7, and 1. Basically, that means I'm walking chromatically there and there. And you're just going back and forth. And I'm alternating back and forth with my right hand. And I just keep going. And I set this to a metronome. You set it to a metronome. The metronome's like 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and 1 over that metronome. And what you want to do is practice this every day and take it up, like set a goal for yourself and make sure you're pushing yourself. Make sure you're trying to push past your top speed, because if you just kind of sit in your lull of just kind of like, oh, I'm comfortable here, you're never going to grow. You got to push yourself past that. If you guys have any questions about any of the things I covered in this video, feel free to hit me up on my Instagram. Best way to reach me, @Dykes, or you could drop me a comment below. And if you haven't already, go ahead and hit that like button. It really helps these videos get pushed out to the world, and kind of helps with the YouTube algorithm, get them out there as well. And yeah, if you haven't already, go ahead and hit that subscribe button if you like this content. And also there's a little bell on the side if you want to hit that as well, and it will notify you when I have the newest videos come out, or if I go live or anything like that. So thank you guys for watching. I'll see y'all in the next lesson.